Introduction, welcome, and thank you for joining me tonight. Let your breath slow and your mind begin to drift. As we prepare to travel through time into a place where the world once pulsed with the rhythm of the forest, untouched by roads, borders, or satellites, this is not the Amazon as seen through modern eyes burning under the weight of industry or cataloged through drone footage. No, tonight we return to the Amazon before colonization, when its people lived with the land, when civilizations thrived beneath its canopy, and when myths and reality were often one and the same. We will move gently through for calming chapters of this hidden history, and the strange, rich earth that suggests an ancient intelligence still misunderstood. As the vast roadways and whispers of the Inca brushed against the green maze of the forest, first we all sink into the daily rhythms of a pre-colonial Amazonian village, the woven textures of ordinary life in a world rich with sound and scent. Next, we will trace the echo of distant empires and fallen kings. Then we'll wander through the mystery of the lost cities hidden beneath the trees. Finally, we will step inside the world of a tribal shaman where dreams speak in plants. But to the warm breath of the forest pressing gently through the woven walls of your thatched hut, the people here, your people, live by rhythm, not clock. The rhythm of the sun, the moon, the river's flow, and the fruiting of trees. Words come later. For now, there is the quiet labor of morning, the rhythm of planting, of harvesting, of the returning fish, the rhythm of stories passed around firelight, again and again. Healing flows through rituals passed down in breath and song, small lumps of a special root ground, soaked and fermented used to stun the fish briefly in shallow eddies. The method is slow, respectful, practiced with care. Smoke rises slowly, curling into the early light, mingling with the mist that hugs the forest edge. The air is thick, as always humid and fragrant with the scent of damp earth, smoke, and green living things. The rest of the day will stretch before you, open like a calm river. The sun, rising and tilting, leaves casting shifting shadows across the packed earth of the village's center. Others craft baskets, smooth arrow shafts, or combed feathers from birds caught days ago. Told countless times, it's about a jaguar spirit, or maybe a warrior who turned into one. The details shift with each telling, but the rhythm stays the same. The voice of the storyteller moves like a slow, river-measured calm, rising and falling like the forest breeze. And some, like the elders, simply sit. They observe, they remember. Their presence is labor too. The rhythm of a life deeply tied to soil, to breath, to the cycle of giving and taking from the land. There's the rustle of leaves stirred by monkeys leaping above, the deep, distant croak of frogs fading into the underbrush. You rock gently, gazing through the gaps in the thatch at a moonlit sky half hidden by towering trees. The surface is like black glass, dotted with the occasional ripple where an insect skates or a fish breaks through. The forest watches, silent but alive, its reflection fractured only by your movement. Its sides are smooth from years of use. It's carved carefully by someone's grandfather or grattan tools, passed down, techniques never written. And the occasional sharp call of a toucan like a single, echoing syllable in a language the trees have spoken for thousands of years. Let your thoughts float like leaves on a slow river, and imagine yourself deep in the forest, long before the first European foot ever touched its mossy floor. Their laughter rises and falls, echoing like bird calls through the huts. Segment 1. Life in a pre-colonial Amazonian village. Imagine waking, not to an alarm. The sky outside is still pale, the dawn not yet fully broken. But the Amazon is never silent. You rise slowly from your hammock, it sways slightly as you place your feet on the packed dirt floor. In this village, built on high ground beside a quiet bend in the river, time does not rush. You step outside, and already others are stirring. A woman gently stokes the communal fire, coaxing new life from the embers. You greet her not with words, but a nod. Today, you'll go fishing. The wooden canoe waits where it always does, pulled slightly onto the muddy bank. You paddle slowly, dipping your oar into the dark water, feeling its gentle resistance. You don't fish with a hook. Instead, you carry a basket woven from palm fiber. When you return, you'll bring just enough for the evening meal. Some villagers tend the garden plots rich, dark soil layered and turned for generations, growing manioc, sweet potatoes, papayas. Children wander freely, half naked, marked with smudges of charcoal and ochre. The day passes slowly. In the late afternoon, when the heat hangs heavy and time seems suspended, you sit beneath a broad-leafed tree and listen to a story. It's an old one. That night, you eat roasted fish wrapped in leaves, you drink fermented chicha from a hollowed gourd, and as dusk falls, the insects rise in chorus. Before sleep, you smear your arms with crushed herbs to keep the biting flies away. Return to your hammock, wherein as the night deepens and the forest sings around you, you think not in words, but in rhythm. The rhythm of firelight, the rhythm of crickets. The Amazon never sleeps, but you do, cradled in the soft hum of ancient time. Segment 2. The fall of the Inca and the Amazon connection as you rest beneath the green canopy of the forest. Imagine, far beyond the trees and rivers, the stone terraces of a distant empire rising high into the mountains. Stone laid upon stone, sun-aligned temples shimmering in golden light, and kings who claimed descent from the sun itself. And what is carried quietly into the forest? It was vast, complex. Woven together by roads so well built, their foundations remain to this day. This is the world of the Inca. But our story tonight is not about conquest or glory. Not entirely. It is about what happens when empires fall. Sudden. It's like a thunderclap in a quiet valley. The Inca Empire, known to its people as Tawantinsuyu, land of 4 quarters stretched across mountains, valleys, and coasts. And yet, at its height, it shattered. A hidden refuge somewhere in the jungle where Inca treasures were hidden, where the last free people still performed their ancient rites. It's into the eastern fringes of the Amazon. When the Spanish arrived in the early 1500s, they found an empire already weakened. They may have sought shelter not in fortresses, but in foliage. You cross rivers, build small shelters, adjust to the new songs of insects instead of condors. Your tools begin to change. Stone and bronze give way to what the forest offers: bamboo, palm, resin. Civil war had torn through the royal family. Disease carried from across the sea swept silently ahead of the invaders, hollowing villages before a sword was ever drawn. You pray to the Inti, the sun. You plant maize with rituals from the old temples. They adapted, they blended. Over generations, their blood mixed with the peoples who had always lived in the Amazon. Cultures intertwined, languages merged, ceremonies folded into one another. You teach your children stories of Cusco, even though they may never see it, where they murmured a prayer, where they taught a child to remember a stone city the jungle would never see. Tools that hint at highland craftsmanship, a road fragmented, swallowed by trees that seems far too advanced for the remote region in which it lies. A diaspora of mountain people, some of whom found solace among rivers and vines. Before you is a wall of green humid, dripping, alive. The fall of the Inca was swift. But the people who came to the forest were not chasing riches. They were escaping ruin. One of them. But as their temples were looted and their cities subdued, many fled. Some went into the mountains, others into forests, and some, here in the forest's vast shadow, Inca nobles, priests, and commoners alike may have carried stories, seeds, tools, and sacred objects. And with them came myths. One such story tells of a golden city Patiti. European explorers would later chase this myth for centuries, searching for cities of gold. Imagine yourself. You have left behind the highlands. The roads of your ancestors are behind you. With you are others. Children, elders, llamas, burdened with cloth and grain. But you carry memories. You speak Quechua. These refugees, if indeed they came in number, did not conquer the forest. Archaeologists have found echoes of Inca-style pottery deep in the jungle. It is not proof of a golden city, but it is the trace of people moving. A slow ripple through the forest. Even today, some indigenous groups along the Amazon's fringes carry faint Incan Ecozin story. In symbol, in names passed down like gentle songs, so the fall of the Inca was not a sudden extinguishing, but a scattering. And when you lie beneath the forest's woven canopy, as we did in the last chapter, you may be lying where one such traveler once paused. History moves quietly here. What? and the jungle remembers, even when we forget. Segment 3. The lost cities of the Amazon beneath the dense canopy of the Amazon, where vines cling to trees like silent sentinels and mist weaves through the undergrowth, lies a secret not easily seen by the wandering eye. It is not a city of gold. It is not crumbling stone temples or towering walls. It is earth, black, rich,
unnatural,
and it may be the whisper of forgotten civilizations. This strange dark soil is known as terra, literally, black earth. It is scattered in pockets across the Amazon basin, often in areas where modern soil is thin, poor, and easily exhausted. It is fertile, enduring, and seemingly man-made. What terra preta is different. As early as the 1960s, scientists began noticing patches of this soil that were richer in nutrients than their surroundings, thick with charcoal, bone fragments, broken pottery, and organic matter. Not by chance, but by deliberate creation, were people. It appears that ancient Amazonians were enriching their soil layer by layer, decade by decade, through controlled burns, composting, and careful cultivation. What is most astonishing is not a single ruin, but the scale. In essence, they were engineering the land to sustain life, long before the word agriculture reached their ears from distant lands. Some form concentric circles, others trace the shape of suns, of stars, and around these fertile patches. Through satellite imagery and painstaking ground surveys, researchers have begun to uncover the faint outlines of geometric earthworks, precise ditches and mounds that once encircled settlements. Not a city as we know it, but a cluster of round houses arranged around a central plaza. Paths beaten down by bare feet, smoke rising from fire pits, a gentle order to the arrangement, neither rigid nor chaotic. In the rhythms of life, the knowledge passed in gestures and songs. It is believed that these may have been ceremonial centers, or fortified villages, or perhaps a mixture of both. Men prepare fish traps, carve canoe paddles, or tend to raised fields. He believed, based on old manuscripts and whispered tales, that somewhere deep within the Amazon lay a great city. Perhaps even a civilization rivaling those of Greece or Egypt. The Amazon, once thought to have only supported small, scattered tribes, may have been home to sprawling networks of urban life, densely populated, organized, interconnected. The cities themselves have long since returned to forest. Rain, vines, and time have swallowed walls and wood. Perhaps they were subtle living, breathing communities that left behind not towering temples, but enriched soil and elegant geometries visible only from above. Trees grown thick, their roots tangled through time, the only clue beneath your feet. The strange softness of the earth, darker, warmer, more alive, but the soil remains, and it tells a quiet story, not of conquest, but of coexistence, not of monuments, but of sustainability. You might imagine walking through such a settlement thousands of years ago. Children play with small clay figures. Women grind seeds and tubers. There are no cathedrals, no colosseums, but there is complexity here. Then, centuries pass, people move on, the forest returns. All that's left is the earth. The legend of the lost city of Zia, name given by British explorer Percy Fawcett in the early 20th century, once captured the imagination of the world. He disappeared in search of it. But perhaps the cities were never stone giants. If you were to stand now in the heart of one such forgotten settlement, you might see nothing but forest. You would be standing on memory, and the forest would keep your secret. Segment 4. A day in the life of a tribal shaman. The forest breathes. It hums, it listens. And there are those who listen in return. In many Amazonian tribes, past and present, there is one person whose role is neither ruler nor warrior, neither hunter nor farmer, but something quieter and older. The shaman. To outsiders, a shaman might be called a healer, a priest, a mystic. But such words never quite capture the role. Shaman is a bridge between the visible and invisible, between the body and the spirit, between the tribe and the unseen world that flows through the forest like mist. The sky is pale, and dew still clings to the leaves. But the shaman has already been awake for some time. Imagine now that you are walking through the village just after dawn. Their dwelling is modest woven palm, open walls, dried herbs, Hanging in quiet clusters from the rafters, it smells of smoke, bark, something sweet and unfamiliar. Inside, the shaman sits, not speaking, grinding something with a slow, rhythmic motion. A root, perhaps a seed. Every movement is deliberate, every breath aligned with intention. Outside, a child is ill, fevered, eyes glassy, breathing shallow. The villagers do not rush. They wait. They recall the patterns in the stars the night before, the strange behavior of a bird at the forest's edge. The child's dream described in whispers. The words are old. Perhaps the shaman learned them from their teacher, and they from theirs, each voice tracing back centuries. Each chosen not only for its chemistry, but for its spirit. Patterns traced on the body, on the patient, on themselves. Not decoration, but language. For in the shaman's world, everything is alive. The blowing of smoke over the crown of the head, the shaking of a rattle made from dried gourds and tiny stones, the gentle touch of a leaf dipped in the brew, brushed along the child's skin. The shaman has already seen this before, not just the symptoms, but the signs. And now, it is time to begin. There is no surgery here, no prescriptions. They will not speak of what they saw of the visions that came, the spirits that whispered. Not all things are meant to be told, that there is ceremony. The shaman prepares a broth, bitter, dark, contains the bark of one tree, the vine of another. They chant softly as the brew simmers, not loudly, not theatrically, but in low tones that seem to match the forest's own rhythm, and they guard the silences. The ceremony begins as the sun climbs. The shaman applies paint red from crushed seeds, black from soot and oil. Then comes the chanting, the calling. There is no fear in the child's eyes, only trust. The forest watches. Later, when the ceremony is over, the shaman will sit quietly, perhaps alone. Their tools are simple: roots, leaves, songs, smoke, but their knowledge is vast. They know which tree bleeds sap that calms pain. And the forest will begin speaking to them as well. Which insect carries warning, which dream signals illness long before it begins. Their work is not only with sickness, but with balance. When a hunter cannot sleep, when a woman dreams of jaguars, when the river behaves strangely, the shaman is called. They are healer, interpreter, counselor, historian. They remember the stories. And when their time is ending, they choose a successor. Not the strongest, but the one who listens most deeply. The apprentice learns slowly by watching, by listening, by dreaming. Years may pass before they speak a single chant aloud, but one day, they too will sit before the fire, grinding roots, waiting. Conclusion, and so we return. From the deep green silence of the Amazon, through the centuries, back to where we began. You've walked barefoot along riverbanks, felt the press of warm soil beneath your feet, tasted the slow rhythm of life lived without clocks or concrete. You've glimpsed how the people of the pre-colonial Amazon hunted, planted, fished, and remembered not with monuments, but with knowledge passed in gesture and breath. You've stood among refugees of a fallen empire, carrying stories like seeds into the forest. You've walked above ancient cities that left behind no spires or arches, but rich black soil, quiet, enduring intelligence. Someone who hears what the trees are saying, and who understands that healing begins not just with the body, but with the balance of all things. And you've listened to the chants of a shaman. The Amazon, before colonization, was not empty. It was not wild in the way the word is often used. It was full of voices, songs, systems, and societies woven into the living breath of the forest. Now, as the world sleeps, the forest remains. Some of those ancient trails still lie beneath the vines. Some of those chants are still whispered to the wind. Some of that black earth still grows food. Today, quiet evidence of hands that worked with time, not against it. Perhaps you carry a small piece of that rhythm within you. As you rest now, let your thoughts fade like mist over the river. Let the hum of ancient insects lull you. Let the stories drift gently into dreams. Thank you for traveling with me. Through history's quiet places, may your sleep be deep and your journey gentle. Good night.